My mom and my dad, I knew there was heavy drug users, and then my dad would always beat up my mom. I think so that her drugs was like her medicine, like would calm her stress, but that's why she noticed that she put our lives in front of hers and gave us to our grandma. Didn't give up on us, so like that pushed me more not to give up anything. Shouldn't even give up. Like, what is that? Like that, if you give up, you certified a loser. If you try, you at least win in your book. The last time I saw my dad was when I was like 10, 11 years old, and then I never see him after that. I should pray for him, but like he has no use in my life anymore.
On the Big Island, one person dies every 11 days from a drug overdose, most from fentanyl, and a growing number of victims are teenagers.
This is the house I grew up in.
This is what Maxie Baby started at?
Yep.
You ever scrapped on this corner? What are street fights happen?
I would fight with all my friends on the road. We'd fight all on this road right here.
Max Holloway was born in a place where many young people lost themselves to addiction, street violence and crime, with little hope of ever breaking free from that cycle. Born on December 4, 1991 in Waianae on the west side of the island of Oahu, Max Holloway grew up in an environment that rarely produced success stories. His parents Missy Kapoi and Mark Holloway struggled with serious drug addiction, a reality that deeply affected Max's early life. His father was abusive and left the family when Max was around 11 years old, while his mother spent years battling crystal meth addiction, a fight she will later win through tremendous effort. In those circumstances, Max's grandparents stepped in and assumed a crucial role in his childhood, taking him into their home and giving him what he needed most at the moment: stability, structure, and clear values.
No, don't get me wrong. People got it way tougher than me. I always had a roof on my head. I always had clothes. I always had hot food to eat and stuff. That was because my grandma and grandpa. If people follow my story, my mom was a heavy drug addict. My grandma was not my grandma, but my dad was like, I don't even remember him being in my life. He was like maybe in and out my life when I was a kid.
They taught him that honest work has no shortcuts, that respect is not taken by force, and that dignity is not measured by the fear you inspire in others. Unlike many of his peers from the neighborhood, Max was a good student and not prone to the trouble. Even though his surroundings offered few positive role models, his inner drive to rise above the stereotype of a Kolohe West Side kid grew year after year, from a quiet desire into a loud ambition. Martial arts gradually became both his escape and his discipline, a channel through which he could release energy, find purpose, and begin forging his own path.
Max bless Holloway. You been through a little shit, ain't you?
A little bit, man. We always had hot water. We always had food on the table. I love my grandma and grandpa to death. I'll do anything for them. And then, but even my mom's, because even though she was, drugs is crazy here. That was hard for me, like there's nights where my mom would disappear.
For a long time, Max wasn't even aware of what's happening around him. The truth about his mother didn't reveal itself through words or explanations, but through small moments that only made sense much later.
So you're learning about drugs, you go home, and what happens?
I go home, I got this bandana, thinking at that time it was like you want to be a ninja, you remember you put it on your head, or you put it like the cowboys, whatever. Pull this thing off the shelf and freaking crack pipe hits the ground, and I'm thinking, I see it, I'm like, holy shit, what the hell, I'm putting it together, oh wow, what? At first I was like this, I was figuring, I was like, what is this, whatever. I put it back, put the bandana back, put it back, and then 1 year later, 6th grade, is the DARE program. And then I found out, holy shit,
That's what that was?
Yeah, that's a that's a crack pipe. And I was like, what the hell is going on, And
you didn't know at the time, your mom?
I didn't know. So, was insane, but then I saw some stuff that you're not supposed to see, like my mom fighting with her siblings and stuff over, in front of us when we were kids and showering and stuff. So I always thought, what the hell is going on? To me, this is normal.
From a young age, Max seemed destined to fail. Not only did he come from a broken family, but he was also growing up in a city ravaged by drugs, violence, and limited opportunities, a place where the future was never guaranteed.
I saw what drugs did to my mom, you know, I know drugs is a key opponent of why my dad wasn't around. I see drugs, what they do to some of my close friends' families. And then I also saw drugs do to people that I saw was around and like that was older than me, you know, like this just like, I wouldn't say friends, but like guys like, oh, I see this guy around, and then you end up seeing him on the streets like tweaking. So I'm like, oh man. Seeing that, like not even now, but even before, I was like, bro, I don't want to go down this train. I don't want to be another person in a stat book somewhere towards bad stuff, you know? Like if I'm making stats, I want to make them in the most positive way they could possibly be, you know what I mean? Punching someone in the face is not too positive, but it's the legal way, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it was just, that was the main thing. I was like, I see where these guys go. I seen what happened to family members, friends. I saw this and I was like, this is not for me. I do not want to do that. And I just wanted to be great in something. I don't know what it was, but in my mind, I just wanted to be. Whatever I think I did, I wanted to be the greatest at it and keep going, you know, and then try and change the generation. You know, I mean, I'm sure you heard it. It's just generational curses. That's what it is. That's why, like, some of these guys can't see out of their little box that they live in. Like, this is the way. Like, since my parents did this, I gotta do this.
Right.
Since my friends is going to this party, I gotta go to this party. You know how much parties and whatever, when I was like a young kid, I had to like skip out on, you know what I mean? I was like, bro, I'm good, I'm training tomorrow, I gotta wake up early.
Despite the chaos around him, Holloway found refuge in martial arts, fully dedicating himself to kickboxing at the age of 15. After only 3 days of training, he stepped into his first amateur fight, and under the guidance of his coaches, he quickly developed his skill, discipline and mental resilience, the foundation for his future success in MMA. Through hours of training and sacrifice, Holloway honed the skills and mindset necessary to excel in the professional arena.
Did you start with MMA?
No, I started kickboxing. I only trained for 3 days. I trained for 3 days. Yeah, my friend told, baseball season just done. I went to train with him. I trained for 3 days, and then on the second day, I went there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days. So Wednesday I went train, Thursday I show up. They told me, oh, my friend was fighting on Saturday. He told him, oh, Max, the coach told us, Max, someone dropped out. You want to fight on Saturday? You gotta weigh 135. I was like, bet. I was like, I'll fight, because I was gonna go. I would have to ask but my story was I had to ask my grandma for $35 to get into the fight towards my friend kickbox. But I was like, I get to fight and I get for free. I get it for free? Like, yeah, this is bet. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get it for free. I don't have to ask them for $35. You know?
You had trained for 2 days and they asked you that. What kind of fucking coach were you going to that asked you if you want to fight on your second day?
He saw what we were sparring already. I was sparring the first day. Second day came back, we was like technical sparring, but then we was doing, you know, like the first time I ever sparred, when I went with them, I got punched in the face, and the first thing that went in my mind, like, I gotta punch this guy back. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna punch you right back in your face because I hurt. You know, and that's what we did. And then I ended up fighting. I ended up winning the fight. I remember going to school that following Monday, and I was telling everybody, this was when K1 was huge. This was 2007. I was like, I'm gonna be a K1 fighter, guys.
In amateur kickboxing, Max Holloway amazed an impressive 17 fights, gaining valuable experience and confidence inside the ring. At just 19 years old, he made the decision to transition to MMA, inspired by watching BJ Penn, a fighter who showed him that someone from Hawaii could rise to the very top. Around that time, his coaches gave him the nickname Little Evil, recognizing his aggression, persistence and refusal to back down. Holloway made his professional MMA debut on September 11, 2010 in the X1 organization, where he faced Duke Zaragoza and earned a unanimous decision victory. Just 2 months later, matchmakers booked him for his second professional bout, one that would fast-track him into the title fight within the same organization. Max delivered in emphatic fashion, securing a first-round technical knockout against an opponent who already had 30 professional MMA fights, making it clear that he was not just another young prospect, but a fighter with far greater ambitions.
And I'm here with Max Little Evil Holloway, who's coming off a brutal KO. Talk a little bit about your fight, Max.
It was pretty much what I was hoping for in stand-up war. Bryce Kamaka, real tough guy. He came out swinging. You see my eye, but he caught me with some good stuff. I caught him with good stuff. I think I caught him on an overhand, and then I saw him buck a little bit, and then I just heard my corner say, he's done. So I went in for the kill, and sure enough, got the TKO. I don't know what time was, but I finished him in the first TKO.
With only 2 professional MMA wins, Max Holloway earned a shot at the X1 championship at just 19 years old. Standing across from him was Harry Sarmiento, a seasoned veteran who had over 45 professional fights at the time.
What do you think about a Harry Sarmiento?
Real tough fighter. I saw him fight a couple times. I got to train with him sometimes too, on occasions when I was younger. But just I don't know. I don't really think he got any advantage. Maybe he been in there more than me, but I think like I wouldn't be in this fight if me and my trainer Colin McKenzie don't think we was ready. So I just think anybody can say anything, but as soon as we get in there, it's only gonna be me and him. So yeah, to be honest, I think I'm more than ready for this fight. I've been training real hard. My amateur days, nobody really talk about my amateur days, but my amateur days I was fighting the top guys, all the guys who thought they was top.
After 5 grueling rounds, Holloway emerged victorious by split decision, capturing his first professional MMA title at only 19 years old of age and signaling that his ambition extended far beyond the regional scene.
And also, tell everybody how many professional MMA fights have you had?
This is my third one.
Third fight, 19 years old, X1 world champion.
Wasn't surprised at all. I was preparing for a war, and I just think if you be the best, you gotta beat the best, and it's just what you gotta do, baby.
After another fight and another victory, a moment arrived that will change the course of his career forever. On January 4, 2012, while sitting in a hospital waiting for his wife to give birth, Max Holloway received an email from his management early in the morning. Inside was a contract from the UFC, along with scheduled fight against Dustin Poirier, set for February 4th of the same year.
January 4th, I was at the hospital, and my son was I was waiting on the arrival of my son. I remember exact times, 10:03 a.m. I get my phone rang and be like, hey, check your email. So I go check my email, and it's a UFC contract to fight Poirier for February 4th.
Wow.
First, I hang up the phone. First person I call, my older brother. And he know I was there for my son, so for my son that was being born. And he picks up the phone. He's like, oh, he said, what's up, Max? I was like, what? Is my nephew here? I got, no. Guess who you talking to? He's like, who I'm talking to? I was like, you're talking to a UFC fighter. And he laughed. He did the same laugh.
At the moment, Max Holloway was the youngest fighter on the UFC roster. Standing across from him was a 23-year-old Dustin Poirier, who already had 4 UFC victories and was widely regarded as a fighter with a bright future ahead. Although Holloway started well in the stand-up exchanges, he struggled on the ground and suffered his first professional loss, being submitted by a triangle armbar in the first round. However, even then, Max showed the caliber of a future champion. He pushed forward and recorded 2 consecutive victories before stepping into the Octagon against the seasoned Leonard Garcia.
Leonard Garcia is he's a brawler. You know, he's from a good camp, Greg Jackson, and one of his main training partners is Cowboy Cerrone. So, you know, not a joke at all. He comes to fight. That's what I love. He comes to fight. Doesn't like doing that wrestling stuff. He likes standing and banging. So, looking forward to this fight. I'm a striker myself, and I found out 10 days notice, I believe. It was 10 days. His former opponent was Cody McKenzie, and on Twitter they announced that he got injured. So when I saw he got injured, I was hoping and praying that I'd get the call to get the fight against Leonard, because that's a name that you can't pass, and I did. So thank you God, thank you Jesus.
Over the course of 3 brutal rounds, Garcia inflicted significant damage, but Holloway endured and emerged victorious by split decision, proving both his toughness and his willingness to fight through adversity.
You think you decisively won that fight?
Yes, you know, I really do, because the takedown in the second round he really didn't hold me down. I popped back up, but you know, it is what it is. They said don't leave it in the judges, and all glory to Jesus Christ. Thank you, my Lord and Savior, for leading me down this path, and I feel truly blessed.
After this fight, a setback followed. 21-year-old Max stepped into the octagon against Denis Bermudez, who defeated him by split decision. Despite the loss, Max was determined to keep moving forward. His next fight was scheduled for August 17, 2013 against a rising star in the UFC, Conor McGregor.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Although the Irish fighter injured his knee during the bout, he refused to quit, proving superior in all aspects of the fight and defeating Max by decision after 3 rounds. These back-to-back losses marked a low point, setting the stage for Holloway's meteoric rise to the very top of the world premier MMA organization.
And then I never had a striking coach for Dustin. Then we went on 4, and then we went on 2. So whatever the 1, 5, 6, 7. My first 7 fights in the UFC.
So what did you do for striking?
You really want to know what I did?
Yeah.
You know, the UFC game, I would use Renan Barão and Jose Aldo, and I would do stuff with them. I'd be like, oh yeah, this works in the game. So my friend at the time, Dustin Kimura, he would kind of hold mitts for me, and I'd be like, look, I tried this in the game and it was working. Let's try it. And we did it. I figured it out from freaking UFC, the regular UFC game, the first ever UFC game.
What?
Yeah, with Renan Barão.
You would watch the video game?
I would play the video game and be like, oh, look at this. I would try combinations. I'd be like, oh yeah, this kind of works, so let's try it.
It all began on January 4, 2014 with a fight against Will Chope. Despite a significant reach disadvantage, Max found a way to overcome his opponent, securing a second-round technical knockout. Following this, he notched victory over Andre Fili, Clay Collard and Akira Kurosani, while a potential bout with Mirsad Bektic was cancelled. In these fights, Max Holloway also earned a Performance of the Night bonus, further establishing his growth and talent. On April 18, 2015, he earned an opportunity to face Cub Swanson, a fight that marked a major step forward in the career of the young Hawaiian and signaled that Holloway was emerging as a serious contender in the UFC featherweight division.
And they offered me Holloway, and he was on like a 9-fight win streak. He was on a roll, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. He's a stand-up guy. I've always done good against taller strikers. Cool. Then he comes out and he fights me a completely different style than I had watched him tape. And I'm kind of like watching him, and he's just firing off and running, firing and running. And I'm just blocking, trying to figure him out, follow up with a hook, and I miss, and he counters me, catches me right in the jaw and breaks my jaw.
After facing Cub Swanson, Max went on to meet Charles Oliveira. The fight ended in an unusual and unsettling way as Dubronk suddenly collapsed to the canvas and was taken to the hospital due to the serious medical issue, one that, at the time, threatened his career, while the victory was awarded to Holloway.
You know, I feel bad for the guy. You know, I felt bad for the guy. I thought he was injured, and when he said he was injured, I felt bad. You know, it's the only way we get our money, you know, and stuff.
Following that bout, wins over Jeremy Stevens and Ricardo Lamas further solidified Max's position at the top of the featherweight division. Riding a 9-fight winning streak, Holloway earned the opportunity to compete for the interim championship, signaling that he had reached the very summit of the division. Holloway faced Anthony Pettis for the interim featherweight title, delivering one of the most defining performances of his career.
Official weight,
148. Anthony Pettis has missed weight by 3 pounds. This is a very important fight for you, but unfortunately, you missed weight. What that means is, if Max Holloway wins this fight, he wins the interim title, but if you win the fight, you do not win the title.
Max secured a third-round technical knockout, capturing the interim championship and earning a performance of the night bonus in the process.
Man, it was 100 times better, man. I'm stood on, I don't know what cloud you'd call this, 17 or something, you know, but it's been a hell of a ride, man, and we're just getting started, man. Tune in, man. Tune in. This is just the beginning.
On June 3rd, 2017, at the UFC 212 in Rio de Janeiro, Max Holloway stepped into the octagon against the longtime king of the featherweight division, Jose Aldo. 2 years after Aldo's legendary loss to Conor McGregor, the Brazilian suffered another crushing defeat as Holloway stopped him by a technical knockout in the third round. With that victory, Max Holloway finally claimed the undisputed UFC featherweight title, completing an extraordinary rise fueled by incredible streak of 11 consecutive UFC wins.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. King Max is here, guys. Blessed era, welcome.
The blessed era had begun, and Frankie Edgar was supposed to be the first title challenger. However, due to the injury, he was forced to withdraw, so the UFC once again gave Jose Aldo the opportunity to reclaim the belt. However, a technical knockout in the third round. After that, another scheduled fight with Brian Ortega was cancelled due to the Max legs injury, followed by a cancelled bout with Khabib Nurmagomedov because of Max's unsafe weight cut, and then another cancellation against Brian Ortega, again due to the Max's health issues. After 3 cancelled fights, Max finally got the chance to face Ortega at UFC 2031. That night he earned a victory and took home 2 bonuses, one for the fight of the night and another for the performance of the night. Max inflicted so much damage on Ortega that the referee was forced to stop the fight. Given his dominance of the division, Max was offered the opportunity to move up to the lightweight and challenge for the interim title in the absence of Khabib Nurmagomedov in a rematch against the then 5th ranked contender, Dustin Poirier. It was a true war. Real men's fight filled with heavy exchanges and blood. The victory once again went to Dustin the Diamond Poirier, who became the interim lightweight champion. That night, Poirier simply landed the harder shots and earned a win by decision. Both fighters were awarded Fight of the Night bonuses. After 4 months of recovery from that brutal battle, Max returned to the octagon to face Frankie Edgar, looking to secure another title defense in the featherweight division. By unanimous decision, Holloway recorded his 4th successful title defense. However, his reign at featherweight came to the end at December 14. Max lost the belt by unanimous decision to Alexander Volkanovski. The two immediately meet again in a rematch where Holloway suffered another defeat, this time by split decision. Max knocked Volkanovski down twice in that fight, and everything seemed to point toward him reclaiming the title, but the judges saw it differently. Max didn't complain. Instead, he chose to deliver his best performance in his next fight, and he did exactly that. He demolished Kelvin Kattar and then defeated Yair Rodriguez, earning a 3rd showdown with Alexander Volkanovski.
Bring the heat. Bring the heat.
I am the fucking heat, brother.
You soak up that
I am the heat, brother.
Soak up that crowd.
I am the heat, brother. I am the heat, brother. I am the heat, brother. You're about to see, brother. I am the heat, brother. I am the heat, brother.
In their trilogy fight, Volkanovski shut Max down round after round and won by unanimous decision, claiming victory for the 3rd time. Although many believe Max won the 2nd fight, he lost convincingly in the 1st and 3rd encounters, making it clear that he could not reclaim the title. But he remained on a completely different level compared to the rest of the featherweight division. He went on to defeat Arnold Allen and Chang Sung Jung before stepping into the octagon at UFC 300 to fight Justin Gaethje for the BMF title. One of the greatest knockouts in the UFC history earned Max a new belt and 2 bonuses.
Title was cool. The title was cool, but being able to share the Octagon with a future Hall of Famer legend, Justin Gaethje, that was amazing.
On October 26, 2024, Max received another opportunity to fight for the interim featherweight title, this time against Ilia Topuria. However, in that fight, Max suffered the first knockout loss of his career. After nearly 10 months away, he returned to the Octagon for the third fight with Dustin Poirier. Poirier had handed Max his first professional loss earlier in his career, but this time Holloway won the fight, sending Dustin into a well-deserved retirement and successfully defending the BMF title.
No, thank you, bro. Thank you for the opportunity. No, you gave me the opportunity. No, you gave me the opportunity, bro. You're up 2-0 on my ass. You beat my ass 2 times, bro.
You got the belt. You're the champ.
Thank you, bro.
Hey, that was an honor, bro.
No, honor yours.
Max is now to face Charles Oliveira on March 7, 2026, with a BMF belt on the line. Charles lost their first encounter due to the injury that had nothing to do with the Max.
Can't wait, you know, we have some unfinished business from 11 years ago, so we get to go out there and finally figure it out.
Raised in a broken family, surrounded by drugs, violence and street life that offered easy but destructive paths, Max Holloway could have easily become just another lost story from Waiane. Every circumstance was working against him, yet it was precisely that chaos that pushed him to choose a completely different life. Instead of accepting the fate his environment seemed to promise, Max chose discipline, hard work and responsibility. He chose family over self-destruction, progress over excuses and perseverance over quitting. Every blow he took in life became fuel, and every setback turned into a lesson that made him stronger. That is why Max Holloway is a fighter respected by both opponents and fans alike, a man who never looks for alibis, who does not run from defeat, and who always moves forward, no matter the cost. His story is not just about titles and victories, but about choices, about proving that even when you are built by war, you can still remain human. And that is why Max Holloway is not only champion inside the cage, he's a champion in life.